I've given 100 presentations back to back for the past 4 months, and one thing that has been a reoccurring theme after speaking with hundreds of people and getting feedback is everybody is wanting to seek their purpose in life, and everybody is wanting to gain clarity on their purpose for life. So in today's video, I want to speak on how I've been able to fulfill my purpose in life, how I found it, and how I implement a practice every day in gaining clarity on my purpose in life, and how I get paid to be who I am. So yesterday, after one of my midday presentations, I was approached by a really nice, well-natured couple, and I was writing in my notebook here, and I was asking myself questions, and I was sitting on a rock, and this couple came up to me and they said, "Hey, you have a nice office here." I was sitting out in nature, just above the area where I give my presentations. And I said, "Yeah, I'm really thankful and I'm blessed to say that I get paid to be myself. And I do 3 presentations a day, and I enjoy what I speak about. Nobody's telling me what to say. I speak from the heart, and my compassion comes out in my voice." And so we went on to talking in depth about connection with the land and some of the topics that I've been speaking about, and the purpose of human consciousness and the growth of humanity. And I explained to them that I noticed a lot of people who I speak with and who listen to my talks are really receptive and ready to find true, genuine clarity and purpose in life. And at the end of our talk, I asked the couple, I said, "What do you guys do for work?" And the husband said, I'm a painter, I'm a contractor." And then the lady, she said, "I'm at the 1 year mark of quitting my job, and I think I want to be a life coach." And I said, "I highly advise you to pursue that dream. I highly encourage you to find a way to help people, because the world needs it. The world needs your voice, your really specific and unique voice." And then I went on to invite them to my community, my Heart-Led Creator community. And I said, check out these courses because they're going to help you to ground yourself and help you to gain clarity on your purpose and help you to build for that dream that you're pursuing. Because she did explain that she was a purse saleswoman for years, and she felt that it was very, very inauthentic and that it was very draining to the soul. And I told her that I've done many jobs where I felt drained. I felt that the people who I was working around didn't value who I was as a creative and heart-led individual, and that they didn't care how much value each and every person provided to the world, that we might as well be the scum of the earth to them because they were unhappy with their work. And I explained that led me to doing a lot of internal work, meditation, prayer, led me to do a lot of reading and a lot of studying on the mentors, and that I eventually found my way to a place of heart-led creation, and that I get a lot of fulfillment out of the work that I'm currently doing. It's really interesting how the universe works, because just as they were walking up, I was writing in my notebook and I was regurgitating my thoughts, and I had these 2 questions written at the top of my notebook here, and I'm going to share that a little bit here. And as you could see, I wrote at the top here, "How can I connect with my people more? And how can I make today better than yesterday?" I was writing this down because after all of my presentations, I realized that people are really, really receptive to the topics that I talk about. And then I realized there's a place for my voice, and that people enjoy the topics, and that people enjoy the topics that I speak about. And it made me realize that when I'm speaking, I'm at my best. I'm enjoying myself, and I'm fulfilling my purpose in life when I'm sharing ideas with others, and I'm helping to enlighten and encourage and educate. And I believe that my life purpose was to be a bridge, and to be a diplomat, and to be an educator, and to be a helper for others. And upon understanding this, I realized that I needed to find a way to connect with my people more. And so what I have written here was plan virtual events to meet, greet, and discuss these things in the same way that I was doing with this couple who came up to visit with me. We were discussing ideas, where we were discussing and enjoying the conversation about these knowledge about the human consciousness, about grounding with the land, about changing our analytical views on exploiting and taking from nature and not living in harmony with the universe. And I was really enjoying that. So I have written here on my reflection, I need to present this material to people more often through virtual events so that I can meet, greet, and discuss and just connect with my people. And I need to make connection content more often, not because I want to be viral as I wrote here, but just 70% frictionless content, kind of how I'm speaking right now, and just to build this digital world for my people who are like me to come together and to discuss and to enjoy this knowledge together. And so that being said, my life purpose, as I was saying, I have it written here in my notes. My life purpose is to bridge the analytical brain with the intuitive brain, to bridge these worlds and to help people to find their life purpose. And just a quick story about this. I finished up a presentation the other day and I left time for Q&A for people to ask questions. And a gentleman asked me, he said, if you were a leader in the pre-colonization days and the 13 colonies were getting ready to expand west, and Lewis and Clark were documenting and surveying the land, preparing for their land claims, and you knew what you knew now, what would you do differently? And I had a pretty quick answer at that moment because I just got done talking about bridging the unseen world with the seen world. And I said if I was a leader at that time, I would befriend as many people as I could on the other end of the spectrum, because what we know and what we understand is there was a huge knowledge gap between the two cultures of the people who lived with the land and the people who wanted to conquer the land. And you had one group who was in a linear frame of thought, who only thought about personal gain and serving themselves and what they wanted. And you had this group over here who wanted to live in harmony with the land, who had a cyclical life philosophy and who believed in harmony with the land, who wanted continuation for their generations and their children and their grandchildren. And there was so much of a disconnect between these two cultures, and there wasn't a lot of people in between to serve as a bridge between those two modes of thought. And if I was a leader at that time, I would try to befriend as many people as I could on the other end of the spectrum and talk like them, dress like them, think like them, and try to explain my side of philosophy. And I went on to say to this gentleman that may not have solved all the problems, that may not have changed anything. Maybe it would have shortened the learning curve between these two cultures who clashed, and there would have been a lot less pain and genocide and a lot less chaos and conflict. And because today I believe that's my life purpose, is to be a bridge and to be a advocate, a diplomat. And so that leads me to how I find this life purpose. And I do two things each and every day to gain clarity on my life purpose. And they're two very common things that everyone does already, but I do them very strategically and very intentionally. And I hope this information provides a little insight for any of you who may come across this video today. And so the first thing is having a auditing practice, a journal practice, a note taking, idea generation practice, so that you could see how much progress you're making or your lack of progress that you're making toward your life purpose. And so there's many styles and different ways in which to use a journaling note-taking practice. And the primary way that I have been using today, it comes from the book, The Artist's Way. And if you haven't read The Artist's Way, I would highly recommend that you YouTube it, The Artist's Way audiobook. And in the book, the author talks about connecting to the great creator as individual heart-led creative individuals, and that it helps us to connect with that great creator when we regurgitate the things that are going on up here, and then to get them down on paper and to capture those things so that we can gain clarity. And so there are many different styles to journaling. There's many different ways in which to do and to have a note-taking system. So there's many different styles to journal. There's many different styles to collect your notes and your ideas. But for myself, I write my ideas and my thoughts in this book every day, and I reflect on where I was in previous months, and then I audit myself manually, and then I see where I'm at, and that helps me to align. And many things that I have written in my entries and my notes and my journals, I have manifested. I talked about in a previous video on how I manifested this home and how I do my 7-phase meditation. And I eventually manifested a lot of the things that I was seeking in life. And I can go back and I could look at some of the things that I haven't manifested just yet, or that aren't fully manifested, and I can pay special attention to those things by looking and tracking where I'm at via my notes. So this leads me to a strategy in which I use to audit myself. So recently I've been inputting a lot of my journal entries into an artificial intelligence, and I asked the AI service to act as a strategic advisor with 40 years experience building a digital community, and to help me to find blind spots in my strategy. And it helped me to see things that I was afraid to do, and it helped me to see blind spots and holes in my strategy and tools that I wasn't using to my advantage, to help me to move more toward my life mission and my life purpose more efficiently. And it also gave me a lot of encouragement, because as I was tracking my entries, I could see a pattern, and the artificial intelligence helped me to see a pattern of modalities and frameworks in which actually helped me to produce results over time. So I had something to show for where I was, what I struggled with, and then it was really cool to see and encouraging to see that the work that I was putting in was actually leading me somewhere. So it's really, really potent and powerful. So I highly recommend a journaling practice, idea tracking process, and then an auditing practice. And if it's not a manual audit, highly recommend a digital auditing service. And so this leads me to the next topic that I want to talk about today, which is gaining mental energy and mental clarity in finding your purpose. And so a lot of times on my journey, when I would sit down to record a video, or when I would sit down to write course modules, it would be really difficult for me to find the focus and to find the momentum. And I have been able to overcome these blockages and gain mental clarity and mental energy through walking. So I've noticed a lot of high-level entrepreneurs and high-level creators implement an exercise practice. They implement an exercise practice or a walking practice. And so when you walk, you turn on areas in the brain that are stagnant when you're just sitting and scrolling for long periods of time. So when you're sitting at a screen and you're sitting still, different areas of the brain turn off. But when you go on a walk and you start moving your body, different areas of the brain light up. And this is where intuitive downloads come in, and this is where ideas come in, and this is where your creativity starts to flow. And so I highly recommend a daily walking practice. And there's so many other benefits to walking. Just the simple fact that you're getting exercise and absorbing the elements, absorbing the oxygen and the sunlight. There's so many good things about walking. And the other day when I was walking, I was circulating my neighborhood here, and I was experiencing a block in my mentality. I was experiencing some paralysis by analysis, and I was getting a little bit discouraged. And I was getting a little bit discouraged because I was thinking about all of the mentors and the creators that I've been learning from. And I was feeling overwhelmed because I felt like it was impossible to catch up to where they are. And as I was walking, I was looking at my feet, and I was observing the stepping stones, the bricks of cement, the bricks of pavement. And I was starting to enjoy the walk, and I was thinking about my path forward. And I was thinking to myself, I'm at point A and I want to get to point B. And how could I get there more efficiently? And I started to realize that creating a digital community and creating a digital coffee shop is much like your neighborhood. There is blocks and stepping stones in life, and that it takes strategic incremental wins day in and day out. And that if we just enjoy the walk and we just enjoy the sights and the sounds of the journey, we're not going to be getting overwhelmed by how far it is from point A to point B. And as I was circling the neighborhood, I was thinking to myself that, so as I was circling in the neighborhood, I was looking at the houses, and I was looking at the stepping stones, and I was like, building a digital community is very simple. It's just about knocking down the domino of the day, the task of the day. Maybe that's a newsletter, maybe that's a social media post, maybe that's a journal entry, maybe that's a video like this. And as long as we're strategically knocking down the domino of the day, the journey of creating your life's work and fulfilling your life purpose becomes very easy and very enjoyable. And so this is one of the many examples of how walking has really, really improved my mental clarity, my mental health, my mental energy, and the process and the formula to just enjoy this journey of fulfilling my life's work. So with that, the last little bit that I want to share today is, as heart-led creative individuals, we don't have to look like other people. We don't have to look professional. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to wear the suit and the tie if we don't want to. As long as we are showing up and speaking from the heart, we are fulfilling our purpose that the universe and the great creator has set out for us to do. And even showing up scared, even showing up insecure at times, even showing up discouraged. And back to the question that I asked myself earlier, which was, how can I show up for my people more? It comes down to just being present and to presenting the doorway and the path consistently on a regular basis. And that means even showing up maybe a little bit scared, maybe a little bit unclear. But as long as we show up with that true, genuine compassion. And I've heard very experienced speakers say that no matter how much they speak, there's always a little bit of butterflies that come up when you get ready for a presentation. And I noticed after some of my presentations that I have been giving throughout the summer, there's days when I kind of drag my feet walking up to the crowd and to the group. And I'm like, hoping that I don't mess up, hoping that I don't look, dumb, or hoping that I don't look like I don't know what I'm talking about. And that little bit of insecurity shows up. But once I get to speaking, I just speak with passion and I speak with joy because I love what I teach. I love what I speak about. As long as I do that, I always find myself feeling glad and feeling thankful, and the people come back to me in return and thank me for the information that I've been sharing and that I've been teaching. So just a little bit of encouragement for everyone to share from the heart and to align with their purpose. And if anybody is needing support and needing some guidance and help in fulfilling their life purpose and help with building their personal digital coffee shop, I created a heart-led creator community, and I have 2 courses in there currently. The link will be in the description. And I have something for people who are just beginning their journey. The first course is Claim Your Digital Real Estate as a Heart-Led Creator. This is something that I wish I had at the beginning of my journey, when I was just starting out, when I was fed up with my labor jobs and working around people who drained my energy. I wish I had something that just showed me how to implement a few small tasks so that I could gradually move in the direction of my purpose and my dreams. And so many times I started and I quit and I gave up because I just didn't have the mental clarity. I didn't know exactly how to build incrementally. I would have found myself in a significantly better place and a lot quicker. But you live and you learn. And the second course I have in the Heart-Led Creator community is Feathers and Frequency for Heart-Led Creators. And this is for people who are already building communities and people who are advanced and have grounding practices and who are teaching universal principles for others to learn on this journey of life. And this is an accumulation of my life's work. And this is what I teach at my group events. This is what I've been teaching and practicing for the past 20 years and helping people to align with their higher self. If you feel compelled, please feel free to check out the link in my description for the Heart-Led Creator community. And if you feel compelled and moved to reach out to me and speak with me, I would love to connect with you. Connect with me either in the Heart-Led Creator community or via Instagram. And I love speaking about these topics. I love sharing these ideas. And it's a joy and a blessing to be able to be who I am and to create a life around who I am. Alrighty, with that, be well, be blessed. Looking forward to chatting more in depth in future videos and future events. Stay tuned. See you all soon.